States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We note the absence of Ray Lucius. All right, the first item up is the approval of the tax hearing minutes of December 9th, regular session meeting minutes of December 9th, Personnel Committee meeting minutes of January 6th of 2020, Finance Committee meeting minutes of January 6th, 2020, Policy Committee meeting minutes of January 8th, 2020, and Facilities Committee meeting minutes of January 8th, 2020.
I'd like to make an amendment to those on January 8th, as it was said that the parent came here and spoke about their child. And Mr. Cox, this was referred back to you. I don't see it in the minutes to reflect that the Policy Committee pushed it back to you to answer their questions. And you had 1 week you gave them 1 week that you get them done. I don't see those in the minutes, in the policy minutes.
You want a copy of the questions that were sent?
No. We spoke in that meeting as the Policy Committee to move the parents that came and spoke about their child to you.
Yep.
To answer their questions in writing. And you agreed to that in there, but I did not see those in the policy minutes. I just want to make sure that those get into the minutes, that you would give 1 week to get those questions answered back to them. Okay.
When you do answer, could you forward that to us too?
You bet.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion with the amendment.
And just for correction, which meeting was it?
January.
That was the policy.
Policy
January
Committee,
8th, policy
January
meeting.
8th.
Yeah.
Policy. Okay, got it. January, okay.
Paul moved and
Okay.
Juan seconded.
Okay, Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Approval of the regular executive session meeting minutes of December 9th, 19, and Personnel Committee executive session meeting minutes of January 6th, 2020. Discussion? Need a motion?
So moved, Larry.
Second.
Okay, Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
Approval of the executive session meeting minutes to remain closed for January 14, 19, February 11th of 19, March 11th of 19, April 8th of 19, May 13th of 2019, and June 10th of 2019. Questions? Do you have a motion? One. Second?
I'll second.
Oh,
Either. Carla?
okay, Pappas,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
motion carried.
I need a motion for approval to destroy the recorded executive sessions of December 11th, 2017, February 12th of 2018, March 12th of 2018, April 9th of 2018, April 16th, 2018, April 18th, 2018, April 19th, 2018, and April 23rd of 2018, May 3rd of 2018, May 9th, 2018, May 22nd, 2018, May 31st, 2018, June 11th, 2018, and June 25th, 2018. Discussion? Need a motion?
So moved.
Mazer,
No.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
and Pappas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
You have additional bills in your packet. Any questions on the January 2020 expenses?
So I have a question about on page 4, there's a Sheridan, Chicago for the Illinois Association of School Board Joint Conference for $1,426.06, and it's for accommodations. So then I wrote the business manager, Marla, and she said that's actually for $200 more than that. It seems a little high. And then I asked for the receipt, and that's not, is that just one person's room charges of $809?
So it's not only, my room for 3 nights, but it's also the board dinner. And so if you would like, I can submit all the conference expense reports to the next finance committee for your review.
As an elected board member, I do believe she has, if she asked for that receipt, and I think as a board, that she has a right to view that receipt. I don't understand why the receipt wasn't turned over to her.
Because she asked me today, and we'd already gotten back to her once today, so it's yes, if she wants a copy, we'd be more than glad to. But it's very difficult for us to answer multiple questions on board meeting day.
I mean, it shouldn't, I'm not trying to be here to defend her either way, but it's not hard to pull the file and pull that receipt out. I'm just curious.
I mean, I'm trying to ask as soon as I can, so I wrote that email when I looked over the board bills on Saturday, and then then Marla got back to me on Monday morning, and as soon as I read it, at 8:22, I said, "Can I see a receipt?" And that was last I heard. So, and I said I'm not gonna beg for information, so.
I'd be glad to get it to you.
Any other questions?
I had a question on page 2 for the rewiring of the panel there, the outdoor light panel. Is that somebody that's from a company that you use for that? On the top of page 2.
Where are you at?
Line account?
It starts in the bottom.
Who's the vendor?
After Boomba, James Clayton.
James Clayton. Page 2.
It was in the regular board
Right there.
packet.
Yeah, I would assume that's a local electrician.
Yeah, he does most all of the electrical here at the district.
Okay, I just
Has
haven't
for
seen
years.
it. Okay, okay, I was just wondering who we worked under. I have one more question. On page 3, in the middle, from Ideal, is that charge in addition to their service, or was that just part of what we have paid?
What's the amount?
$77.50.
Yeah.
It's part of the 46,000 that was previously approved by the school.
Okay, so that was within that, okay.
And then there was one more thing on that bill is, that didn't look like it was the accommodations for the board members because they have a separate bill. So,
Like I said, I'd be glad to submit those expense reports to the finance committee so they can vet them.
There was some separate accommodations due to registration because there's Swiss Hotel there too.
right, Claire just asked for it. Thank you.
Anything else? Need a motion to approve the January expenses.
So,
Second.
Goldberg?
yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
No.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving to the treasurer's report.
All right, the always exciting report. The balance in the Super Now account at First Community at the end of December was $279,259.49. We had outstanding checks on 12/31 of $11,305.31, leaving the adjusted bank balance at $267,954.18. The lunch program balance was $50,646.64. Impressed fund was $5,000. leaving the total balances at $323,600.82. The investment balances were $13,771,005.09, leaving the balance of all funds as of 12/31 at $14,094,605.91. We had receipts in the amount of $1,142,582.12 and expenses of $947,040.30. Education fund balance, $7,443,352.42. Building fund, $2,338,584.57. Bond and interest, negative $46,82.48. Transportation fund, $1,430,684.77. IMRF, negative $10,222.91. Working cash, $2,429,896.43. Tort fund, $162,136.48, and life safety at $304,856.63. Earned interest in December of $484.12. The state had several distributions in December. State aid, $170,847.66. The school lunch program, $10,582.63. Special milk, $609. Special ed orphanage, $11,306.25. Special ed transportation, $60,560.18. Special ed private facility, $42,909.60. Regular transportation, $54,682.32, and driver's ed reimbursement, $24,88.79. And we had one real estate distribution for $138,087.29. That's all the numbers.
And we always like to put this in perspective. If you look at over the last 12 months, we want to look at where we are in time compared to end of December of last year. So in the last 12 months, we're actually $188,000 ahead of where we were this time last year. So hopefully that will continue to hold out and we'll stay a little bit ahead of last year. But as you know, we're budgeted not to be, so we'll do everything we can.
I just had a question. I was comparing like subs, where we're at for percentages for how much we're spending at each building. With it being so high at elementary, are there just a lot of absences this year, or what's the reason for
Well,
being-
Mrs. Markland was out.
Correct.
So
for
that
the
was
whole
some of that when
first
it's not
semester.
planned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if that was affecting that, absolutely. And then for the homebound tutor, is that one student that's enrolled for that?
There's several,
been
but
a
there's
few,
one
yeah.
teacher for several different
One for
students.
several, okay, so that's
there's three
split
students
over a
that
few
you hold
students.
on right
Okay.
now.
Any questions for the treasurer? Need a motion to approve?
Second?
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Hernandez? Pappas?
Yes.
Maser?
Yes.
Olbrich?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to guests, I received nothing. Anyone in the audience? Okay. Mr. Meyer?
Yes, sir. How you doing? No. Could you help me out? Appreciate your help. Okay, our test scores from last year's information. I'll first put up the science assessment. That is 8th grade only, one test that takes about 50 minutes to an hour. And we have done a pretty nice job the last few years. So we're pretty proud of that. And again, ooh, that's excellent. Good. And I don't know, again, if it makes a difference because it's only one test compared to, some of the things that we take with our IAR, the old park, but we're doing a pretty nice job versus the state. Second, our overall park scores. Not where they need to be. We are below the state average overall. So our ELA is at the left. 5 is exceeds, 4 is met, 3 is approaching, 2 and 1, not good enough. And I know that's not appropriate, can't remember what 2 and 1 are, but it's not good enough. So we are looking at, we are about 34% in ELA, the state is 38. We are 18, and I don't know how the state put on our report card 19, but what the pie graph or what our numbers show is 18. So 18 is what we have in terms of meet and exceed, and the state is at 32. So it's 38 ELA, we're at 34. We are at math is 18, and the state is 32. Breakdown 6th grade. State overall scores are 375. Our scores at the junior high for 6th grade are, did I say that right? So our state overall score is 737. That's the state average. We are at 735. So we're extremely close. The average score is 46 for the state. We are at 44 in ELA. But that's our breakdown of individual scores. With math on the right-hand side, the state overall scores are 729, and our math scores at Beecher Junior High for 6th grade are 720. That's the biggest discrepancy we have out of all our grades, is 9 points within the state. We are lower, 2 in math or 2 in English, and 9 overall, average score 9 overall in math. 7th grade. State overall score 740, BGHS 740. So the average score for the state is at 47. We are an average score of 48. So we're actually above the state with our average score, but equal as the overall score. Math 735 is the state score. We are at 734. So we're extremely close right there. 8th grade. ELA is 738 overall state score, BGHS 738. So the average score for the state is 47, BGHS is 46. So we're fairly close. Math, overall state score 731, and then BGHS is 723. And why I say we are, and I know that's a little bit, that's one more than it was earlier, which I said was the biggest discrepancy, but with 8th grade math, what I want to point out is the direction that we have chosen is about 25 to 30 kids are in algebra. We are teaching the Algebra 1 curriculum. So we are pushing them to be ready for honors calculus, not really teaching them the 8th grade Common Core standards. So I'm not saying that they don't know some of it, but we're only pushing 2/3 of our kids for the Common Core standards. We're pushing about 1/3 in the algebra direction. And again, no excuses. But I think that if we were all teaching Common Core, our scores may be a little bit different. But so we're fairly close. Area schools with ELA, the state average, like I said, is 38. We're at 34. You see what you see up there. A couple of things that are kind of outliers. We know Grant Park because their numbers are K8, along with St. Anne is K8. So I can't tell you what St. Anne and Grant Park's junior high or middle school numbers are, but and within the past couple of years, we have been above the state average in ELA. So, for whatever that's worth. Math, state average is 32. We're at, like I said, the state said we're at 19, but 17 plus 1 to me, and I was a social studies teacher, is 18. But I'll take 19. It looks a little bit better, but still, it's not good enough. But those are some of the area schools around us. Peatone, Go Math. Bradley Central, looking at, and Bradley down at the bottom, looking at Go Math. Limestone was at one point, but they went in a different direction. They might be Eureka, but I'm not for sure. But we do have a couple schools that are in the Go Math, or the Go Math system. So we'll see if that makes a difference, hopefully for us, because right now Peatone is ahead of us. So hopefully we're going to move in the right direction. Last thing, there's a famous Hall of Fame football coach that once said, "We are what our record says we are." Same as our scores. This is who we are. Good, bad, or indifferent. As of last year, those are our scores. So, my goal, our goal, is to get better. It's not good enough what I've seen up there. It's not good enough. We should be better than that. We have been better than that. No excuses. Hopefully we're still going to continue to have high expectations. But overall, I think with a creation with all working together this year so far on working on our tier RTI program and getting Steady Island, we think those interventions are gonna help. We do. We don't know, but it has to improve. We have to do better. And number two, I truly believe this, that the fact that we now are one-to-one and kids have the Chromebooks in their hands, not just practicing a couple math tests or a couple ELA tests or having it a few days a week, having a Chromebook in front of them, to have it in front of them, I think hopefully the practice, the manipulation, to know what to do is going to help our scores. Obviously, you got no material, but I just think the familiarity, if that's a word, if I said it right, I think that's going to help us. Math, continue to go math. We've been to Piatone and Moments. That's the other school. I forgot. Moments is looking to go math. They have come to our schools. I like the networking. We're looking at other enhancements, Delta Math, Math Minutes within our math program. Also Quizzies, I think is how you say it, Qizzz or something like that, or is that right? We're looking at just some supplemental stuff too to keep on top of them. And again, this was from last year, we kept it on here. The word problems, about focusing on the response. And again, it's the process, not just getting the answer, but knowing how to do the process of it. We think collections, our new series, 3 through 7, is going to help. We also talked about increasing reading literature. That was one of our lowest 8th grade data points, by incorporating literature-based passages, because the literature part was a little bit lower than state. Usually we're at least right on in 8th grade. We've done a pretty good job. And then continue using Right to Learn, Scope Magazine to improve our literary analysis. And one of the things I think that we do a pretty good job of, I know our scores weren't great, but when I look at it, it does seem, when we get them from 6th and 7th and 8th, there is a little bit of gradual progression, so. That's where I am. Yes, sir.
I heard you say you reached out to Piatone and Grant Park, kind of in our size, school size. You know, see those numbers, as another board member just said. I mean, doesn't most of our teaching come from our staff? I mean, we can implement many things, but is it our students are not comprehending more because of our classrooms, instructors, or what? Because I mean, you learn it in the classroom.
You do, and I have total faith and trust in our teachers. I think one of the biggest reasons is motivation. I don't think they care. I truly don't believe some kids care. I just talked to a teacher today, one of our science teachers, and we went through the science assessment. And we have some of the high school, Mr. Sarseny comes down and says, do you think this person is good for biology or honors, whatever? And, you know, we look at this kid, one of the top kids in the class was, I mean, obviously top kid in the class, got one of the lowest grades on the science test because they took it in 12 minutes. They took it in 15 minutes. We got a couple girls, again, and these are outliers. I think some kids truly try. I really do. I think some, they just don't care. Whatever it is, it is. I don't know. I continue to, I believe that we test a lot. I think sometimes they get sick and tired of tests. But again, it's part of your job. Unfortunately, your job as a junior high kid or high school kid, I think is you go to school, it's your job. You need to try, you need to have some intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Have we seen how Piatone and Grant Park got their scores pretty good?
I will tell you right now, my biggest thing about Piatone is they have about 12 kids in class. We got
And Grant Park
26.
as well. There's
Or sorry, not Piatone.
14
That's what I meant.
to
That's what I meant.
16
Not
class
Piatone.
sizes for Grant Park.
Not
I was
Piatone,
gonna
so
say,
Grant
Yep.
Park.
a little bit.
But
Yep.
they've also been one-to-one a little bit longer. I think they're familiar with, I don't know. They get after it, and we sometimes do, and that's one of the things I don't want to jump from, oh my gosh, we're bad in this year, but then, you know, next year we get better, so, you know, what do we jump into next? Let's just be consistent, let's try to do our job and keep grinding through.
And if I may say as an educator too, we have map testing and things like that in our district. So when I'm watching students go through and do Achieve 3000 and map and where we get all of our different numbers from, and I realize how my district looks on there, I am testing myself and I am administering these. And you can, you know, talk to them about how important it is. You can do so much, but when it comes to some of these tests, like you said, we have rewards for it if they are spending their time on it and things like that. But unfortunately, when even they're not seeing that, oh, well, if I take time on this today, then it's gonna make a difference. They know that their math tests are, they know that their Achieve 3000 is, you know, and so that's why some of these numbers can also be very skewed.
I will tell you with Delta Math, Mrs. Chauvin at the high school, with the time that Mr. Cox has gotten us together by K-12, get together, talk about it, what's working, what's not. Delta Math was brought down to our level, so she really enjoys that. This Math Minutes, Mrs. Fan says, has increased our STAR scores, which is one of our benchmarking pieces. She said that has been better. So, I mean, we benchmark 3 times a year with STAR Math compared to one IAR test for 6 hours and 3 days. I wish I had a great answer to tell you why we aren't where we are.
Do you know the percentage of modifications that are attached to the other schools, like versus
Oh,
if
no.
they have more
I don't.
with paperwork, that, because that skews it, like if somebody needs, you know, extra time or
Yep.
whatever, that is built into state testing, and if we don't have as many students that have that type of paperwork, then it would also affect it.
You know, it's important to realize, I think that Mr. Meyer's right. When we all look at this, we say, how can we be better?
Yeah.
We have to understand that this is a very large process. It's a very big ship. The results that we all want to see take time, and we have to put things in place so as an organization we can be successful. We started doing a better job of communicating across buildings. That's a big part of it. We started being better with our curriculum. That's a big part of it. We started raising our rigor, right, Mr. Meyer, with what we expect of our students. That's a big part of it. But all of this is going to take time, and we have to make sure that that's what our focus is. As every year we get better, every year we put things in place organizationally so our teachers are better supported, more cohesive, better able to educate the kids that they have. And so I'm very proud of the things that we have started to put in place, and we will continue to work.
I agree.
And I'd like to see how it compares to our benchmarking programs, you know, how we're showing as this, on the state scale and then on the STAR testing.
That's good data too.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you. Just, yeah.
How can we motivate, how can we motivate these children to do better?
If you can tell me.
Please help me. No, I'm with you.
I know.
We talk about this at our principal meetings about this time too. What do you guys do? What do you guys do? And some have tried the carrots, and some have tried this, and some work and some don't. I truly believe some kids want to kick it to rear end because they have pride and their the expectations of the household, and they just want to please people, and some don't care. And part of this is, you know, we talk about our accelerated program. This IAR is one of the pieces of data that we look at to place kids in our accelerated program. You want to bomb this, but now you got all A's and you do this and that, but you bomb this, we're going to seriously take a look at, why didn't you try? You know, how can I trust you to really bust rear end in our accelerated program? That's one of the pieces, so that we try to dangle that out there if you want to excel at the top level in our school.
And just for placement in high school classes.
You bet.
Period.
Sure.
That helps a lot.
Speaking of high school.
Speaking of high school.
Thank you.
I still think it's unfair that I have to follow Meyer.
Shit. You got this next.
Just to give you a heads up on my board report, it's not on this thing. There is an error. We don't have one foreign exchange student coming second semester. So we actually have 4 additional students coming from overseas to join our high school. One of them being housed by our very own Mr. Cox. So, good for him. And apparently they're looking for one more family. Their work family is nice enough to house one of them for the time being. We're probably work family. So we'll have 5 students at Eastern High School from different countries. Pretty good. All right. So the high school, and if I'm not mistaken, the elementary and the junior high were also marked commendable. If I had to give a stat, probably 75% of the schools in the state are marked commendable. And then, like any good presentation, I gave you an asterisk with very fine print across the bottom, so you guys don't know what it means. It simply means that underperforming, what does it say? commendable designations are given to schools with no underperforming student groups, greater than 65% graduation rate, and not in top 10 of schools. So that's why most schools are that way. Oh, Joe Duncan, Joe, I broke it. Oh, good job. All right, so there's our ELA scores. Mr. Meyer, I'm going to have to use the black background next year. I tried to do orange because that's our colors, but apparently it's not shining through. If you'll notice the bar that's on the very, very far left, it's super high. That's Beecher High School, ELA scores. Wow. So that new ELA curriculum that we adopted last year at the elementary is already paying dividends. We are at 44%. No?
Sure, yeah.
What
happened to junior high? We gotta go through there next.
We'll get there.
Yeah, okay.
Again, you'll see at the end of my presentation, we have to remember, this is a snapshot of one day of 85 kids. That particular day, those 85 students were spot on with their ELA. I have all the faith at Miss Martin, that Miss Serta and Miss Lang are rock stars, and that's why our scores are as good as they are. But I cannot promise you next year that when this group of 83 kids come through, that they're going to perform at 44. They could be at 47, they could be at 38. But the important thing to realize is that we're better than Grant Park in this diagram, and that's what I want. I did talk to Mr. Maxwell, he's the principal at the junior high/high school Grant Park, and said, hey, your scores last year kicked us in the rear end. I said, my board would like me to ask what you did. His words were, we had a smart group of kids. That literally is all he said. He goes, this year, I promise you my scores will be down, and he did not lie to me. So it was a really good year for ELA. Math is on the other end of the spectrum. It is better than, you'll see here in a slide or two, we're better than last year, and that's what I can ask for my staff, better than last year. I'm not asking us to be at Peatonia, I'm not asking us to be at the state. Again, I have a significant problem with the test that only 38% of the students in the state pass. That should be the question we ask. Again, I can control the 21% that pass for us. I need to ask the state why only 38% of them are recognizing passing. To me, that's an error in testing, but that's personal. Grant Park apparently gave their math test first before ELA, that's why they're higher in math. Science assessment, again, we are far and above all the others. I'll talk about the assessment for this upcoming year in a moment, but as you can see, our science grades, just like last year, are just stellar. We have a wonderful science program starting at the junior high and all the way through. The elementary does a remarkable job getting them prepared for junior high. Sorry, this is the trend over the last 3 years for graduate. I can't say the word. I don't. Apparently, there's an inability to say graduation with W in it, so I do apologize for that. Our graduation rate last year was 88%. Why is that so low? We had 80 kids graduate, and 3 of them didn't. I can tell you what happened to all 3 of those kids. 2 of them took summer ingenuity and got their diploma by the end of the summer. 1 of them came back first semester, took 2 classes first semester with us, graduated semester. So all 3 of our kids that didn't graduate last year have graduated. They just take an extra minute or 2. And I told Sarson, I'm not into playing the games of let's reclassify them and call them this and call them that. And no, they're here in their 4th year. It is what it is. Call spade a spade. Let's figure out what we can do to help them out. We did have 1 student prior to graduation drop out because he knew he wasn't going to graduate. He was 18. That was the choice he made. I can't control families. I give them the choice. And if that's the choice they take, that's the choice they take. So comparison from the past few years. So obviously we had that dip last year that we talked about. So moving to the right, green is where we were last year. So ELA went up, math went up, and then our science really went up. So the plan is to continue that improvement. So one of the things I have to say about the science assessment that's going to scare me a lot next year, I can promise you that bar graph is going to go down. Because the state of Illinois, in all their wisdom, decided to change the ISA, which is the Illinois State Assessment, from all biology students, 9th graders, to all 11th grade students. You don't realize the SAT is given to our 11th grade students. So what better to do with our 11th grade students on ELA and math scores, but to give them another test within a week. So I can only imagine how wonderful that's going to be for those students in that motivation we talk about. They're gonna do their best, our science teacher's gonna have them ready, they're gonna take them in science class, that's gonna help. At some point in time, you ask yourself, what are we doing to these kids? Some of the things that we have done, I wish I would have kept the slide from last year, because I have kept some of the promises I've made, and I would have deleted the ones I didn't keep. One of the things that starts tomorrow is no homework Tuesday. We already have set it up. No student in the high school will receive any homework on Tuesdays. That allows for 100% of their study hall time to be designated, if you're a junior, to Albert I.O. That is a program that we adopted for SAT prep. There's an English and a math component to it. And then if you are a freshman, sophomore, or senior, you're going to be doing Naviance curriculum work, whether that is college readiness, whether that's, what else does Steve say it is? It's in my newsletter, if you want to look at it. Just some basic, this is what it takes to be an adult if you're a senior, those kind of things. So that's what we're going to start doing on Tuesdays in the second semester. Next year, the No Homework Tuesday, if this is successful, first semester is going to be used for that study island that we adopted last board meeting. They're going to be doing their interventions during that time. So to show the seriousness we have, no homework, no transition, nothing. Every Tuesday is going to be designated for that. Again, we continue to use College Board to give our teachers what we think they're lacking. Ms. Chauvin's remarkable with that. Every year at the beginning of the year, she comes to me and says, hey, can I have the results from last year? 100%. Continuing data alignment. As I said, the science program is now 11th graders. I'm a little worried. We don't know what the test is going to look like, but we'll try our best. There's the comment I made about the 3 seniors who didn't walk last year. Right now we have 13 students taking Ingenuity in the 10 seats that we have. So we are taking full advantage of Ingenuity where we can. And it actually allows for 3 of our students to attend KACC, so they don't have to be here in the morning, so they take that course through Ingenuity. And most importantly, I said it before and I'll say it again, you're asking for a snapshot of the child one day of their life. So to tell me that's how that kid performs every day, it might be, but again, we're basing this on tests that the average student, 30% of them, pass. So it's the way I look at it. Oh, I'm done. Questions? Very good. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Lara. Let me say that.
She's pulling it on right. She is, that's all right. Good.
All right. So I guess I have to be a grand Same as last year, all of our students took the IER and science assessment online. Again, kind of looking forward, speculating, we are using our devices much more regularly this year as opposed to last year. So hopefully that will help looking forward. Here's our science assessment. As you can see, we did very well in our science assessment as well. I didn't realize until after I made this presentation, and I went and looked at everything, we actually did the current part in science assessment, so I'm very excited. But our overall park and IAR, I have park because depending on the grade level as we move through this, I try to put comparison from years before so we can follow that same group of students. Here's where you can't see the very last part there, the 1% are the people that were in ones overall, but I guess I get basically, our numbers have stayed the same as you notice, which is good, which is, obviously we'd like them to go up, but we don't see any huge dips anywhere throughout the year, so our numbers are fairly stable, looking at both ELA and math for our overall scores. Looking at our 3rd grade scores, this is the first time, so these are our current 4th graders, this is the first time these students have taken this test, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but here's how they did. All of our, and you'll see that in my breakdown a little bit further down the line, all of our grade levels were above the state average. And so our school was overall in both ELA and math. Here are our fourth graders from last year, so our current fifth graders. And here I have the numbers to show you. Again, this isn't just fourth grade over the years, it's the same group of students. So that 2018 is how this group did as third graders, and then this is how this group did as fourth graders. Sometimes because our population is so small, if we just look at fourth grade, there is a big difference from year to year in grade levels, so I feel like it's more fair to follow that group of students and look at them over the years. So that's the numbers here for fourth grade. And then our fifth graders as well. And not really sure what, oh, I know why, I couldn't get it on the Illinois school report card because it was, they didn't have it available. So I didn't have a representation to have those numbers for these current sixth graders, our fifth graders from last year. Again, looking at ours, when we look at that 4 and 5 categories with the state counts as meeting expectations. So our 4s and 5s, even though there is some fluctuation between them, if you look, it's really almost the same percentage between the 4s and 5s. Here is our comparison to area schools. The state average for ELA is 38. Our average was 55. So it was pretty far above the average, so that was good to see. The only school that's higher than us was and really looking at that, we're pretty far above. There are some that I had to kind of guesstimate. Brittany and Bradley and Piatone, they have more than one elementary school, so I just took the average of them. So if you were to look it up, it's going to look a little bit different because they have 2 different schools. I just took the average of those. And then looking at our math scores, the state average was 32. We were at 37. Again, there was only one school in the area that was higher. Even though I was really happy with our scores, we were above the state average. Obviously, we always want to know how we can do better. We are continuing with our RTI program, always examining, looking at new interventions, things that we can use and do to make that process better. Again, we are collecting data and changing midpoints. So we benchmark 3 times a year. We benchmark in end of August, early September. We benchmark in January, and then we benchmark at the end of the year. We've really found it helpful to look at their scores in between, because that's a really far amount of time, especially for our little ones. So when we notice in September that students are struggling, we start RTI programs with them, and we do different interventions. Instead of waiting until January, we have a midpoint, usually in November, where we will rescreen all of the students with the STAR program to see if what we're doing is working for them. If it's working, we keep going with that. If it's not, then we make changes to those interventions that we're giving. For ELA, obviously we have implemented an reading program, so we're really focusing on learning that program, implementing it the best that we can, focusing on assessments, pacing, and how that is aligned with the common core standards. With math, this is year 2, but we are certainly, by no means experts on doing math. Our teachers are still getting used to that new program assessments and curriculum alignment to make a smooth transition with grade levels. One of the things we spent a lot of time talking about at our last institute is, if our pacing isn't to the place right now where we're getting through the whole math year, we need to really make sure that we're communicating that with the grade levels coming up, so they know about gaps that might be happening in students, so they can address that as those units of study come up. That's the end.
Questions?
So as we looked at those scores, I think one of the things that we saw was our elementary school has the most grade levels, and yet there's a huge amount of consistency there, right? So let's just stop and think about that for a minute. of our 3 buildings, what's the building where we've had conversations since I've been here in the last year and a half about class size, where that's been a focus for us? Okay, what building do we have that right now, as of today, has the best RTI program in place, that has the best supports for our system in place? What building has the best summer school program, so that once kids need that additional help after the school year ends, we make sure that those kids are supported as they move on to the next grade level? Okay, obviously the answer to all of those things is the elementary school. And so we need to, that's why I'm very ecstatic about last month's approval to have Study Island be up through 10th grade, so we can next year move to a true RTI program for all grade levels. Why, at the junior high, the rigor has been increased to the point where now kids know that if they're not passing things, they're either going to be retained or they're going to have to go and do their summer school. Okay, we continue to make these improvements to make sure that our students are held accountable and supported. And so, very pleased in the direction that we're going, modeling a lot of the things that have been successful at the elementary school.
Hasn't it been a lot of identifying the needs of personnel and putting them over there and hiring them? I think that was a key factor, correct? 3rd grade, we had too many students, we hired a 3rd grade teacher, we brought teachers' aides. I mean, so when you say that, you look at the personnel we brought in too.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we have focused those conversations on the elementary school. Now, I think that the research will tell you that's where you should focus your resources with smaller class sizes. So hopefully we'll continue these conversations. Real quickly, it's been mentioned a couple times. I think that we want to make sure that we don't let this meeting go by without celebrating. Last week, Beecher Junior High and Beecher High School officially became 1-to-1 districts, 1-to-1 school buildings.
Yeah.
How about it?
Absolutely.
Every one of those students is taking technology home.
Close.
Dress and jewelry, are taking it home.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
And so that is, no, it's not a silver bullet, but as we continue to change the way teaching and learning happens, and that's a conscious effort on the part of the staff, on the part of the organization, as we continue to change the way learning happens, I have no idea what the outcomes will be, but they're going to be fantastic. The last time I did this, junior high discipline went down. You'd be all right with that. High school achievement went up. Mr. Gahan would be all right with that. Okay? And so we'll see where this takes us, but I cannot thank the school board enough for partnering with us to make that happen for our kids. It's an amazing first step. This isn't an end. Okay? Yes, our kids are digital natives. If the remote gets broken at home, I'm not fixing it, right? I guarantee, and my guess is you aren't either, okay? Kids know technology. That's their world. And so the better that we can engage them in that, the more successful they're going to be. And so the sky's the limit with this. And so I really do appreciate that. I was also asked to take a couple of minutes and make a couple of comments about where we've been recently with our SRO. We're halfway through having Mr. Beck as our SRO. And I want to really shine a light on an area that he has made. I know that we kind of don't think this when we think about Beecher, but we have a truancy issue. And Mr. Beck has been able to make inroads because once, in the past, you get, after so many absences, then you get a letter from the school. Okay. Another few absences, you get another letter from the school saying, oh, you really need to be here. Well, we've continued that model, but now after the second letter, on the, what is it, third letter? On the second letter, Mr. Beck goes and hand delivers that letter. And so there's somebody who is a police officer showing up on a doorstep to say, And so that's been very impactful. Yes, he's.
I agree with that, but at the same time, if those kids don't want to come to school, and I know I'm just speaking in general, if they're 16 years old, what are we we can force them to come to school. They're going to come and do what they do at home, nothing. So what alternative plans do we have? Say, if they don't want to come to school, well, instead of taking, let's say we're all students, distracting this class here because they don't want to come and learn, so, they're 16 years old, what options do they have so that they're not coming, we're not forcing them to come to school because they're not coming to school? It's simple as that, right? I don't care how many times you send Officer Beck to the front door, they're going to come, but they're going to distract the class. So what alternatives do we have for 16-year-olds that say, I don't want to drop out, but I don't want to go to school? What can we offer?
So we do have alternative placements. We do have vocational programs that are off-site. Really, the Edgenuity program that Mr. Gahan alluded to earlier is a way for students to get credits in a different manner other than just coming and sitting in classes. So the more things that we can do, the more options that we can have to support them, the better that we can engage kids, then the more likely we are to keep them in their seat.
I understand that, but again, what are we doing with those children that don't want to come to school? We're going there, you say you're going to hand them 1, 2, 3. I'm totally against giving them a ticket and say go to truancy court. What are we doing that with their parents, sitting them down? And I mean, SRO Becker spoke about that. What are we doing to keep them kids from coming here causing problems if they don't want to be here? What are we doing? Are we speaking with their parents? Are we setting up meetings, or we just keep sending letters?
And sometimes there's more than one reason.
We just
for
had a
them
meeting
not to
Friday.
come.
So we had a meeting Friday. I spoke to the mom earlier in the week on Tuesday. She came in. And she has a couple students. One has turned it around at a different facility, at a different school here. And this one came 2 times last week and is already here today. But we had an individual meeting with mom, myself, and her on Tuesday. And then Friday, we had the school psychologist, teachers, myself, and the student as well. And so we laid the groundwork, laid the foundation of this is where we need to be, this is where we're going, and these are some of our options if we continue. But yes, we are doing it.
Do we have a building sheet for our SRO? I know he goes wherever he wants in 3 buildings, but, as I live here, and I'm not trying to be condescending here, but I see him out on a lot of patrol. I want to know if he's really spending his time, because I think we pay 60% of his salary.
Correct.
Is he mostly in the buildings, or is he basically doing other things?
No, he's mostly in our school buildings, yes. Now, do we have a timesheet on him? No.
We don't have him signing in and out of buildings or nothing like that. I'm just curious. Okay, thank you.
So are there going to be any programs that he's going to start, like?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question. And so one of the things that we've had a lot of conversation about is what does that curriculum piece look like? And so we're in the process of trying to figure out exactly what that looks like, because it's going to be at maybe not all grade levels, but at most.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
If you could, whenever, that starts formating, or taking formation, if you could let us know.
Of course.
That would be awesome.
Shouldn't we have people signing in and out, just for purposes of like when you have like emergencies and stuff, you have to know who's in the building?
We don't have our own employees signing in out of buildings, no.
So just going back to the school resource officer. So we don't have him sign out. That's correct. I just want to make that correct. We don't have him sign in now.
Correct.
Okay.
I have
Thank
a
you.
question about the Chromebooks. So, that's great, but, so as an occupational therapist, I often use the Chromebooks with the students and I have them type their personal information. Those are their objectives often. But I just turn my head for a second. The special ed students, they know exactly how to get to some other site. They're not bad sites, but they're preferred sites. Have you guys addressed keeping them on task with?
We have Fapara too that's really helped out.
Yeah, we really have a couple of different.
Is that like a guardian? Is it like a monitoring?
You can see and you can close out their stuff if they're on the wrong site.
So not only are they limited where they can get to in the first place, but at any point in time, the teacher can look on, using their technology, look on the student
really?
screens.
And Control H does wonders.
And also depending on how the teacher sends them information, they can control, you can only go to this site. I'm sending you this site, this is the only site you can go to.
Yep.
Oh.
And we hope they're still moving around the room as well, and we're not just
Absolutely.
sitting at the desk and
We've got
But those,
expectations too.
those technology monitoring programs are pretty awesome. You can put how many tabs they're allowed to have open, for how long. I have it all in front of me. I can click on their tabs and exit out, and wait for them to see.
I don't have that, and then YouTube seems to be.
Oh, it is.
It's like they're so good at, I mean, like, wow. I mean, just a second and they're there.
Any other
Do you
questions?
ever complain?
Can we discuss, like, because there's word that maybe only some of the students that you may feel that are maybe not legal residents that you're cracking down on, or is it pretty much all of them, or are you kind of picking and choosing?
So we have a list of families that have been flagged by one or more of the offices. And those, in those instances, it's where we have some sort of hard evidence that tells us that this is a family that needs to be investigated. I think right now we're maybe about a third of the way through our list.
How long do you think it'll take to get through the list then?
A couple months.
How many did you find out of district?
So far, I believe so far we've only disenrolled, that's a word now, disenrolled one family.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to asbestos phase 1. Do you want to address this, or do you want the facilities?
I think the facilities committee can definitely.
Ron,
What you got?
on the asbestos phase 1?
But it's just,
Can you-
go ahead, Juan is the head, it's the chair, not me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Speak.
Juan?
So that was something we've been talking about for a while. We're finally recommending to move on that project, at least phase 1 of that project, and that's our recommendation to the board.
I understand there were some modifications to phase 1, though?
Yes, it was just an original removal and replacement of the existing structures only, not adding any new rooms or anything to them.
But it would be brought up later. Other stuff that we talked about.
Right, and everything else in the meeting would be brought up as we get bids and that kind of stuff. But right now, we're recommending that they move ahead with the asbestos removal and
So I watched this, I watched every meeting. I thought that Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Goldrick, and Mr. Mazurek did a great job on the facilities committee. I thought they did a real measured approach. They waited until the life safety audit came in. They didn't just rush into everything, and then they tried to prioritize. And I thought they did a nice job in really developing a nice plan, a starting of a plan for the students. We were really concerned about safety and incorporating everything that was, necessary within that audit that we just had done. So I thought they did a nice job.
I agree. I'm happy with everything you guys are recommending.
Okay, then I take it you're moving this for approval?
yeah, so did I make the motion or?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Hold on, no, we gotta hear Juan, no.
Okay. Weissel,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Pappas,
Yes.
Mazur,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Yeah, Larry, can I go back to one thing? Mr. Cox, you had your report. We have some new vapes and no vape sensors in, correct?
Correct.
How many students, I'm not asking how many have been caught because we put in $2,700, or was it 2,700 or 36? I'm not sure, there's 4 or 3?
I believe there's 4.
4, so about $3,600. What have we caught?
Caught one today.
Caught one today?
Let me-
And had
Had the cameras not had to be reset, not Mr. Duncan's fault, I would have had two.
I'm just curious, at $3,600, we have the right as, no, the school resource officer doesn't, but you, as a building principal, Mr. Meyer, Ms. Black, you guys have the right to check bags, check lockers. Why haven't we done more of that, since we have a problem with this vape?
Because I still need reasonable suspicion, so I can't just walk up to a random kid and say, pull out your pockets.
No, I'm
So
not
what-
asking you for the kid. Go ahead.
So what this allows me to do is, now that there's a detection service in place, it went off, I pulled up the camera, saw the students who went into that bathroom, now I have reasonable suspicion to have those students turn off their pockets. So now I have the capabilities of disciplining them, but I'm happy the fact that the kids aren't using it in those bathrooms more than I am. They are
Right, 'cause
using
they're
it.
gonna find another area to do it.
Correct. As long as it's not in my school, that's a step forward.
But nobody can step in the bathroom, during these breaks,
Oh, yeah, but a lot of times it's, can I go to the bathroom? It's the middle of the period. Well, yeah, it's you're a young adult, you have to use the bathroom.
Right.
Well,
But they know
that's
the vapes ain't there, so I'm just telling you. I used to be, I'll tell everybody, I used to smoke cigarettes, and when I was in high school, I'd just sneak out the back door with a little trail, but anyways, it's 15, 20 years ago, anyways.
Is the den accessible to the kids? Like, are there people in the den regularly? So like if somebody snuck into those bathrooms?
Those bathrooms, you can't go, they're locked.
They're locked during the day?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you could go, I guess you could go in the girls' locker room over there, but no. There's I have a camera in my office on that den, so if somebody walks through it.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
expect anybody at elementary to be smoking, but.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool. That's good that they're working.
Do we want to move into executive now, or do the new business? Okay. For the other, okay. All right, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mazer?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all.
Yeah.